Hey everyone, my name is Kris. Welcome to Gear Corner. Today we're checking out a really special pedal. It's a collaboration between Jack White and Anasounds. You've probably already heard about Third Man Hardware, which is Jack White's sort of gear brand. And they've done some really cool stuff before. This time they teamed up with Anasounds and created this crazy cool pedal. It's a preamp and a reverb. It does spacey stuff, but it's also traditional in a way. We'll talk about all the details, but first let's hear it in a track. Short housekeeping before we get into the pedal. I have some new merch. There's a new shirt and a new hoodie. Make sure to check those out. You'll find the link in the description below. You'll find all my signal chain, additional infos, timestamps in the description box as well. So yeah, make sure to check it out. And of course, if you enjoy these videos, hit like and subscribe to the channel. It would help me immensely. All right, so the La Grotte is a really cool pedal that is very traditional, but also very sort of unique and creative to be able to cater both traditional players who like a really lush, long reverb, and also people who just want to get lost in ambient stuff, want to try experimental stuff, overdriven, crunchy, sort of really interesting reverbs, etc. The pedal has a bypass switch, a little window where you can see the three this time, springs, and the four knobs, dry, wet, low, and high. So 2-band EQ, a dry volume and a wet volume, and there are a lot of stuff inside, which I will show in a second. But first, let's see how it sounds with a fairly traditional setting. Even though you can set it up for a very sort of subtle reverb, but it's always going to be long, it's always going to be lush, it's always going to have this spacey vibe to it, which is just really, really cool. And not a lot of small reverbs actually deliver that. Yeah, let's try out the dry side, which is a preamp. It's a really cool preamp. It does react like an amp preamp, like the input gain of an amp, which has a lot of volume on tap, and you can change the amount of crunch inside with a mini, like a trim pot. It's a ton of volume on tap. This is massive. I was worrying about clipping the interface. It has a very amp-like a cranked amp style drive tone, which is amazing. It's a little more controlled. It doesn't get too muffled or fuzzy, but it's definitely raw. And I love that. That's really cool. All right, let's see the wet side. And by the way, the low and high, those will influence the reverb side, so the wet side. That's really, really cool. So first of all, the thing I just learned is that if you turn down the low of the reverb, it becomes much more sort of sweet and old school and much more sort of like an amp reverb. And the second thing is that it reacts to your playing in such a way that's mind-blowing. If you dig in, it's big and lush and, you know, reverby and drivey. And as soon as you just switch to the neck pickup on a guitar like this, or just pick less intensely, it goes clean. And it just sounds very sweet and mild and just not crazy at all. That is cool, man. Let's see what's inside the pedal. There are some switches, there are some trim pots. First thing that is important to know is that it can do true bypass or buffered bypass. Now, if you have a true bypass and you turn it off, you obviously cut the reverb off. Now, the buffered bypass mode is awesome on this pedal because, first of all, it has a good quality buffer, obviously, and it keeps the preamp on. The dry side is still on, and if you turn the pedal off, your reverb just sort of fades out in a very natural way. It has this trails or tails, whatever you want to call it, which is just super sweet. Let me show you that real fast. Right? It's a very natural kind of transition from the full-on reverb experience to a dry tone. And as said, the dry knob is still on. The pedal is turned off now, but you can still see the LEDs lighting up when it gets signal. And the dry knob still does its thing. If you don't want this, if you just want this pedal for certain parts in your set, then you have it in true bypass mode, and then nothing is active as soon as you turn off the pedal. Another cool thing you can change inside the pedal is the fade in and fade out mix. Now they offer you to have it on or off, this fade in fade out feature, and also there's a trim pod that allows you to set the time how fast this fade in and fade out happens. Heavy stage use, when you just slam your foot on that foot switch and the springs go wild, start rattling around, that can give you that splashy tone that might be really cool and exactly what you want. But if you don't want that wild thing happening every time you slam on the pedal, you can fade it in and fade it out. I gotta say though, it's protected really well. The springs have a lot of space to move around before they touch something and do this splattery thing. I really have to hit it hard with my finger to get that going. You really have to go for it, but of course it does this splashy thing if you do that, so you can turn on that fade in, fade out and get rid of that. As told before, you can set up the preamp gain. Basically, that's a trim pod inside. The factory setting is actually set up for Jack White's choice of how much gain he wants, but you can move around it and just find your sweet spot, of course. And the other thing that it offers is a pad, minus 10 dB pad. So if you want to use something that is just hotter, some like line level instruments, keyboards, synths, whatever, you can do that too. Just turn on the pad and then you're good to go with those instruments as well. My signal chain for this playing part was the Tele going into the Toxic Twins, castellated Toxic Twins, sort of a mild, super nice and controlled low gain overdrive, going into the La Grotte and then into the clean Rev, which I used throughout the whole video, by the way, and going into the aux box for a 2x12 cap simulation. It does the trick. Like, you can use it for a really pretty and sort of mild reverb. It's one of those pedals that I'm most excited about seeing because it is unique. It is still very versatile. Like, you can tell that it's made with something in mind. It does want to sort of bring you in a certain direction. It does want you to celebrate that sort of crunchy, overdriven reverb thing because of the preamp built inside. It has a long decay, so it kind of brings you in that direction of just enjoying every little detail of your playing. Let the notes ring out and don't just shred all the time. So I love that, and because of the combination of the preamp and the lush reverb inside, it combines two really cool things, the preamp and that sort of element, Anasounds element, spring reverb tank. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of sound Jack White will get with it, because he's really awesome in such a strange way, if you know what I mean. Like, I never know what I will hear when I check out like a live recording, live performance. It's always something interesting with like the tone or something unique about the way he plays something, whether it's more of a sort of an old school sort of vintage style song or something more experimental. Yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think about the La Grotte and how you like the sounds in today's video. And yeah, just let me know how you are. I really appreciate you hanging out and watching these videos. So yeah, let's keep the comment section active and let's get this community going. All right, take it easy and see you in the next video. Bye bye.